Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Restoring the Brokenness. I am Colette Allen.
I am Alfred Allen Sr. Welcome, family. Welcome, one and all.
Okay, so today, this is another day that we are coming together and we're talking about real talk today. So before you guys chime in, remember to like and share our page. Okay, so I'm going to take a half a second to just go and share our page and let people know that we're on. Nope. Okay, so we're back. I just had to take a minute to share, let everyone know we were on. So Alfred, do you remember what happened? Well, he hate when I do that.
Yeah, I
So
sure do.
what do you want to do? What do you want to talk
I
about?
want to talk about today's broadcast.
Real talk. Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. So today, we are discussing real talk. Now, real talk is a little bit different than
We want
okay.
to get the disclaimer.
Oh, but wait a minute. Real talk is a little different than
Okay. What is it about?
real talk is a little different than hot topics.
Hot topics.
So hot topics is we talk about the topics of the day, what's happening today. Well, in the news. So that's hot topics. Real talk is just we just talking about things that are of interest to us. So I kind of like both topics. So I hope you guys do too. Don't forget to comment, ask questions, or insert your what's going on in your mind because we are here for that. Okay, so let's give you a disclaimer.
Okay, well, we, the hosts and guests of Restoring the Brokenness group, do not claim to be counselors, therapists, psychologists, or psychiatrists. The information provided are based on our own experience and only intended to inspire, encourage, and uplift you. We advise you to seek professional help when dealing with circumstances beyond your control.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, so now, hey, okay, so we know that this month is Women's Month, and so we, as I am a woman, and love to talk about what are women, what how it's women history,
Right.
and how women changed, how women played a intricate role in changing history, well, creating history.
Absolutely.
And making some differences. Today we're going to talk about Susan B. Anthony. I'm going to be real honest when I tell you guys, I didn't know much about her, which I should because she played a huge role in that whole women's movement era. So, I mean, it's just something that I'm embarrassed to say that I probably was taught about her in school, but don't really remember. Right. So let's see the first slide. Susan B. Anthony. We have our little one that's running the show today. So please, guys, be a little patient with them. Okay. All right. Okay, go to the next slide. Keep going. Okay, so we have Susan B. Anthony. So Alfred, tell us about her.
Well, as you know, at the beginning of the 19th century, a majority of the women worked from home. And fast forward today, over half of the women in the United States play a vital, important role in America's workforce. Now, this wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. Since the very beginning of our nation, women have had to fight for their rights, for a position, and for their dignity. And those who have made it, while trying to restore the brokenness, as you will, have achieved it at a harder cost than man. Susan B. Anthony, she was a pioneer for the women's right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was an abolitionist.
All
She
right.
detested slavery, and she pushed for equal rights for women. Her and Elizabeth Stanton um, met early on, and they had a meeting that started the suffrage movement that for women. They call it the suffrage movement, and they also started the women's rights movements. So she did a lot.
Yeah, she
She did a
did.
lot. She tried to change the laws.
Okay.
A lot of things wasn't happening for her. So in 1866, they passed the 14th Amendment, but
Mm-hmm.
this 14th Amendment had only included men.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
she was outraged by that. And she said, from this point on, I will not keep quiet until women gain the same equal setting and equal footing
Mm-hmm.
as men.
What I really like about her is the fact that she broke the law, and during that time, women couldn't vote for vote in presidential elections, and she did, and they took her to court. And of course, but you know
Mhm.
what? They wouldn't allow her to speak or anything. Like, how you taking me to court and then I can't even speak for myself.
Wow.
So of course the court fined her $100. She never paid it. She was like, whatever. But it did bring awareness to who she was. And she started that whole people started to acknowledge her as a woman of interest as far as really working in behalf of women and allowing them to have the same equal rights as men. So even though she
Mhm.
broke the law, which we don't encourage, but that was a time that she used that as it was like an intro to who she was
Okay.
and the length that she would go to change things for us. So I am appreciative of the work that she's done. And I mean, there are many other women that was a part of that movement, but she was the front runner. I mean, she really put herself out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Her and, like I said, Elizabeth Stanton,
Hmm.
they paved the way for this. And in 19 uh, somewhere around 1920 is when they finally passed the 19th Amendment,
Mm,
giving women the right to vote. By that time, she had passed away
right,
in 1906, 14 years before she was able to really see her dream come true.
right.
But she was the pioneer that sparked all of that,
Hmm.
and all the way up to like what's going on today. When the 60s came around, the feminist movement, and then there was a whole lot of other women that were paving the way even after the 1920s and
Hmm.
coming on up to now. And now today women are
Yeah.
one of the most sought after partner in in
Hmm.
in in, in the workforce, business, and even government uh, 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 force of today,
Right.
in making the laws and
Hmm.
setting the laws. So they play a vital role in America today, and this is all because of people like Susan B. Anthony.
That wasn't afraid to get arrested, wasn't afraid to be scrutinized, wasn't
Absolutely.
afraid to speak her truth. And she didn't care. She was like, well, send me to jail, convict me, whatever. I'm not going to pay it, but I'm going to keep being a voice for women. And so you can't ignore the role that she played in making some changes. And you see a lot of
Hmm.
us in Congress and offices that we did not have the opportunity to be in, and jobs that we never even was
Mm.
considered back then. But because of her beginning that movement, it really opened doors for a lot of women. And that was her goal. She wasn't able to see it to the end, but she certainly was a pioneer in making sure that she
Absolutely.
started it. And so we acknowledge that giant of who she
Mm.
was on
Absolutely,
today.
absolutely.
So
Because at the end of the 18th century, women what wasn't even considered citizens. You know, the only people that was considered citizen is men, and it happened to be just white men.
Right. I was like,
Slave, right? Slaves
right.
and women were objects, just like tables and chairs. They weren't considered citizens.
They weren't important. They weren't smart enough.
Right.
Okay. So, so she appeared in front of every Congress from 1869 to the year she died in 1920. She was very, very much a huge what do you call it, advocate for women. Like, she was there. Congress had something going on, she's coming, she's right there. They just knew they knew that she would be in the room. So any decisions that were made, any changes, anything, you best believe that Susan B. Anthony was there, right there, to remind them that, hey, women matter too.
Absolutely. She played an integral role in the rights of women.
Right. She sure did. Okay. So we want to salute Susan B. Anthony on today. She's a giant among the women's movement. And today we acknowledge that. Thank you for all that you do. Okay. So did you want to, I kind of like cut. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Oh, no, that's it. She was a great pioneer. And like you said, thank you. We're salute her for all the hard work and the roads paved, and the changes that she helped make in the laws.
Right. Okay, thank you. So we're moving on. Okay, guys, listen. Oh my God. Mental health during the pandemic. Have we ever taken a break and just thought about how much the pandemic really affect people and our mental health?
Oh my.
Al, what's up?
Oh,
you good?
Yeah, I'm good, but everybody's not in the same situation I am. It's an individual situation, and some people are really having to deal with going through lows and highs and a lot of depression.
Right.
Dealing with this.
Okay, so the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the mental health of people around the world. In 2020, the COVID-19 was an unknown. It spread with unprecedented speed across the world, disrupting daily lives wherever it appeared. The pandemic has caused widespread anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. The pandemic has damaged social relationships, trust in institutions, and in other people. It has caused changes in work and income. It has imposed a substantial burden of anxiety and worries on the population. Women and young people face the greatest risk of depression and anxiety. So, Alfred, that really says a lot. Can you come back to us? That really says a lot.
That is really something else. The fact that it says that women and young people are affected the most.
Yes.
And there should be some organization, something set up to really help people
support
out.
Groups, you mean?
Support groups, okay. Right. Especially with social media, there should be some areas that you can reach out and get information on how to deal with the depression, in the situation with COVID.
Okay, so I was thinking about, when I was reading this and researching this, I'm like,
okay,
how can it not affect? Well, of course it affects everyone, but women, because we are so into making sure everything is right. We pretty much, most women, well, some women, I can't speak for everybody, is pretty much overall making sure that the house is in order, that everything is in place. So when you see that the world has changed, and that's fear for us, because what do you mean that I can't do this? What do you mean? So we want things in order so our lives can be running smoothly. So when that happened, I felt a little uneasy, to be honest. Well, I'm in the store because I'm like, okay, what the heck is this? There are a lot of people in here. Are we going to not have the be able to purchase the items that we need? Am I
Mm,
not going to be able to feed my children? What's going to happen to us? So it was some kind of anxiety a little bit.
mm.
With the Lord, I felt some kind of way. I'm
You
just
felt
being
some kind of
honest.
way.
Yeah, so I didn't know what
Mm.
was going on.
Well, those things are always on your mind. You're dealing with. You look around and prices are going up, and you're dealing with this
Mm-hmm.
virus. And when you thought that we've turned a corner, they have
Mm-hmm.
a new variant coming out, and then on top of that, just like one caller says, we're dealing with the war and a hint of and high gas
Oh
prices.
yeah, it's a lot. But at the
It's
beginning of that whole
right.
virus in 2020, it wasn't the issue because of course the gas prices were so low. It's
Okay.
like so, but you just didn't know what was out there. It was foreign to everybody. You just know people were dying, and the hospitals had no idea how to handle that.
Mm,
So that's scary. So
it
I
is.
can imagine. I can attest to what it the what that is. When
Yeah,
it
yeah,
says that the women and children were affected more,
right,
I can say yeah, I can agree with that.
right. And then you turn around and you think everything's it's supposed to you're trying to figure out where is the bottom in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking for the bottom, then you look another way, and then here's something else, which is the straw to break the camel's back.
Right.
Like I said, you're dealing with war, you're dealing with um, Vladimir talking about anybody interferes is it's going to end nuclear, and
Yep. Okay.
so you have the threat of nuclear war
Right.
along with these high gas
Right.
prices.
It's a lot that happened. So the question was, how did the pandemic change the way people look at life? We're not talking about right now, but just overall when this first hit on the 20th in 2020, and we're still dealing with this in 2022. That's the slide. Can you bring that slide up? How did the pandemic change the way people look at life? How did it change?
Mm.
Pandemic raised awareness of mental health issues. During the pandemic, moderate to severe anxiety among adults jumped to 37.3%, up from 6.1% in 2019. Moderate to severe depression among adults jumped from 7.0% to 30.2%
Wow.
over the pandemic.
Mm.
The greatest concern is anxiety among young adults during the pandemic. 43.5% reported moderate to severe anxiety. So that's like almost half the population of young adults was dealing with that whole anxiety. Households with incomes less than $25,000 are 20.1% points more likely to report moderate to severe anxiety than a household with income that is 200,000 or more. So we have the age groups of how when you look at 7.0% jump
Wow.
to
To 30%.
30%, that's
That's four times.
really
That's four times the percentage right
yeah,
there
that's
that it has
really
jumped.
concerning.
It absolutely is. And there's definitely, people should be definitely scrambling to give information
Mm-hmm.
and give
Support.
right phone
Mm-hmm.
numbers out for depression. People can
Mm-hmm.
call and advising loved ones to check in on their family members, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
the likes of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, it
it's a
also
lot.
said the greatest concern is anxiety among young adults during the pandemic. 43.5% reported moderate to severe anxiety. When I think about 43.5%, that's like almost half of the young adults experience this level of anxiety. Like, but that's
Right,
to be
right.
expected though with
Young
the
kids, young people,
situation.
they like to get out.
Young adults.
Young adults like to get out on what Friday, begin uh, their rest, R&R.
Mm-hmm.
Go out, enjoy themselves, go to clubs,
Mm-hmm.
movies, see other friends, visit people, have house parties and whatnot. But when you suddenly have to shut that down because you totally see the fact that this pandemic isn't just a um, fake news, it's really happening because people are dying, then it makes you have to shut in.
Right.
People gain weight.
Right. Right.
You know,
Oh my God.
they,
Please don't
they
talk
gain
about that.
they gain weight. They wonder they wonder when is this going to end,
Mhm.
because this one of the worst things you can do is disrupt a person's normal day habit,
Mhm.
that what they're normally used to doing. Any
Mhm.
disruption in that, because yes, we are uh, uh, habit forming creatures. We
Right.
can
Right.
adjust to situations,
Mhm.
but when there's an abrupt stop in what you used to doing, it affects you mentally.
Right. Okay, so James Buford said, along with the hint of war and high gas prices, yeah, yeah, that's a lot.
Absolutely.
Most definitely true. So, but look at this though.
Okay.
The household with less than 25,000 um are 20.1% more likely
More
to
likely
report moderate to severe anxiety than a household with income that is 200%, $200,000 or more.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow. Like 20.1% more likely. If you're making $25,000, you're going to have some anxiety and some concerns. Because now there's a possibility that you're working your job stability is shaky because you're not really making a lot of money, which means that the organization that you're working for may be
Right.
unstable.
Right. Well, 25,000 uh, opposed to 200,000. 25,000 is um, um, living from month to month.
No, living from check to check, well, whatever you.
Right. Living from check to
So you
check.
don't
So
have any overage to say,
right,
oh, I can go into my savings
right.
and live off of that for 6 months, because
Well,
that's really not a lot of money when you think about it yearly.
right. Also, just the fact of having that limited income is enough. When you look at that, you know that if a person's renting, or they're living in a home, there's stress involved, because you got to make the bills. You have to choose whether you're going to pay bills
Right.
or eat.
Right.
So the last thing you need is something extra on the plate
Right.
that isn't healthy or isn't good to digest. And with the COVID-19 and different things, that's enough to just make a person go belly up.
Right.
You know.
Well, I'm thinking that if you're making like $200,000 a year, you probably have a pretty decent savings, which you feel there's a little cushion there, where you feel
Right.
okay, where you don't really have to worry too much. But after a while, there may be some concerns. You know what I mean?
Well, you can guard yourself against the pandemic. You can buy things. You can put more luxury in your house, that because you're not having to go out. You can store up things. You can almost have uh, food put away for
A
5 or
while, yeah.
whatever years, because you have the money, the finances to set yourself up in
Right.
such a way where that you can guard yourself against, get yourself prepared.
Right.
You're not able to get prepared, and just like with the war, with everybody running refugees in the Ukraine, you can't pay enough money to it starts out, the people with the money is people that get out first,
Right. And the ones that would
and then the ones that have less are the ones that stuck, that have no fin, because you can go a long way with money.
Okay. All right. So thank you for sharing that. Now, and also, if it is not fully addressed, if we don't address this issue, because mental health is really, really serious, and you cannot ignore that. You cannot think that all is well, everybody's fine, because everybody's not fine. During the time of the pandemic, there were a lot of people that were actually diagnosed with different things that you probably was able to you're probably able to okay, so a lot of things that you probably would have overlooked, the pandemic brought it out. Like it let you know that, hey, hello, there are people that's dealing with depression, or hello, there are people that may have dementia that's used to structure,
Oh,
used to doing the
yes.
same thing, and now it's not, they can't do it. So now you have a number, a percentage of people, increased number of people that's being diagnosed with
Right.
with dementia or Alzheimer's or things of that nature, where it doesn't show up right away because they're used to doing their own routine. But once that routine changed, the number of people that were diagnosed with those type of diseases, I mean, it tripled the
Oh,
percentage.
and that's a sad thing because, uh, this thing couldn't have caught some of us at a worse time. There's some
Mm-hmm.
people that just holding on or going through a difficult marriage or dealing with a family, having to take care of a family member.
Mm-hmm.
And then this hit. And then you have people saying, no, it's not that bad, but it's coming through like a storm.
Right.
And then when you look up, you find that, you're almost swept away because now it caught you off guard.
Right. You're not expecting that.
Because you weren't, there's people trying to not even admit that the seriousness of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So it
It was
couldn't have
just a
come at a
mess.
worse time for some
So
people.
I mean, and it ties into why that whole mental health has come into play, because of the fact that people, it starts showing up.
Right.
Their situations show. Well, when you have the mental health issues, you have the abuse within relationships, because now you're not going away from the house to get away from your abuser. You have to stay there because of fear of what's out there. So
Right.
I mean, it was just
Right.
it was not a good time at the beginning of this whole
Right.
pandemic.
You're watching the news. Imagine a person that's just barely just on the edge. It's like you're watching the news. You're trying to get information, find out what's going on. The CDC is fussing with the previous administration. The previous administration saying, "Oh, there's nothing." They were trying to push it down and keep it from being such a big deal
But it
because
was a big deal.
right, for sake of the economy, wanting
Right.
to save, not, want to keep the country open. And before you know it, when you find out, oh, you do have to run for your life, but almost, take cover. It was too late for a whole lot of people.
It was a lot.
Some people feeling betrayed,
Yes.
because you're trying to get information. You see the administration trying to push down on it and say it's not such a big deal. But then all of a sudden, even the administration saying, hey, put your mask on, get the shot.
I think just at that time, a lot of people didn't know much about what was really happening or even understand the virus. But, as time went on, we started learning, oh, this is really serious. It says if it is not fully, if we don't address the mental health issues in our communities, in our world, in the nation, it will result in more deaths of despair. Going forward, even long after the pandemic has subside. So even whenever that may be, when we're done, when we are over this, when this have subsided,
hopefully
we
soon.
still have to deal with the mental health issues that we should have addressed before the pandemic. Certainly have to address during the pandemic, and certainly after, because you got to think about the amount of people that died. They were attached to loved ones that really loved them. And then you think about this virus took loved ones without the people that really loved them being able to be surrounded with their loved ones, their families.
Right.
So they died alone. that is really a lot of stress on the psyche of people or family members that were left to watch that. So
That's
you
right.
got to really think about what are the outcome of this virus. Like, it's going to be more people
Mm,
that's going to need support for
that's
their
right.
mental health state of being when this is over. Because when we went in there, when we went into this whole pandemic, you
Okay.
had your loved ones. When we're done with this thing, how many people are you going
Mm,
to come out with? And you have to think about that. So I hope there are support groups.
right.
And of course, Biden has just passed a bill to really address some of those mental health issues and
Oh, great.
provide services for people, because he knows that
Great.
that's
Great.
a big problem.
Oh, people are dealing with sadness. They're dealing with anger. They're dealing with confusion.
Mm-hmm.
There's people uh, know that they'll never see their loved ones again.
Yeah.
And it's all because of this
This
pandemic.
yeah, yeah,
And it's enough to make you really feel some kind of way.
right.
And people need to understand. Yeah, time heals all wounds, but in the process of that, you need some help along the way.
Yes, because mental health is very important, because you can't even function if you haven't dealt with that. So that I never even thought about that. I'm like, are we really talking enough about it? Because even when you think about the what was she, Miss America, that jumped off the out of her apartment window or the
Yes.
building, and you think she's the face of the people, like she's been very vocal about taking care of yourself
Right.
and
Right.
mentally, that mental health piece. She really was very vocal about that, but yet she lost the battle. And so it's like, are we doing enough to not just allow a open opportunity or open space or open room
Mm.
for people that everyone considered together stable, like
Wow.
an opportunity to say, hey, I'm struggling, or
Right.
hey,
Right.
I really need support here. I don't know why I feel this way, or I feel this way, because we have to try to save as many people as possible by allowing them to know that it is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be transparent. It's okay to ask for help. And sometimes
Mm.
people feel embarrassed about really sharing their weakness, because people struggle. I didn't realize until I got older how many people really struggle with different type of
Neither did I.
mental
Right.
challenges. And they can be people that are anointed in the church, people that, I mean, when you think about Tasha Cobb, she was just telling her testimony. Anointed singer, awesome singer,
Mm.
praise and worshiper. When she left praise and worshiping and having people come, ushering people into the presence of the Lord, she goes home in her room for days, depressed. And so you'll say, "Oh, that's the devil." What? Sometimes it don't be the devil. It be people genetically. It could be something hereditary, genetically. It can be some imbalances, but it needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
How can you worship and praise God, sing so beautifully, and still be so sad inside? Come
Mm.
on, So we need to make people feel okay for being vulnerable and honest, and say, "Hey, I am really struggling. I'm really
Absolutely.
struggling, and I need some support."
Absolutely. You're definitely right. You can't always, blame everything on the devil, and in addition to that, sometimes it can be not having the knowledge of knowing what you can do
Right.
to help you understand your way through
Mm-hmm.
certain times and
Right.
certain difficulties.
Right. I know for last year, I got an email. RTB platform had received the email that people really wanted to talk about depression, and I was like, I would love to talk about depression, but I wanted to make sure that I have a therapist or someone that's attached that
Yes.
clinically know and understand how to talk about it, where if people need help, and to provide the resources that they needed. So I kind of pushed back a little bit, because I was like,
Mm.
I don't want to touch on a subject that I can't, after you get some information, I can't support. I don't know that part
Right.
of how
Right.
to do what a therapist would do to support and help you through that process. But it's
Right.
real. I mean, real people have issues, and and it doesn't have to be an issue. It can be a genetic imbalance. It can be a
That's right.
number of things that
That's
causes
right.
people to have to deal with depression. So you guys listen, remember to like and share our page, make comments. We're here. Even if you're watching the show after we're done, you can still make comments. We do read all your comments. We appreciate your comments. We want to know how you feel. Do you have a story? Can you share some knowledge with us? Maybe you can help somebody that you don't even know, but knowledge is power.
That's right. And just for the love of other people, yeah, we wanted to get a person that could talk more on a professional level about depression and um,
Mental health.
mental health.
Mhm.
But it doesn't stop us from being concerned, and at least
Right.
giving our understanding on
Mhm.
what we know about this,
Mhm.
and letting you guys know how concerned we are about whoever
Right.
you who are out there that are dealing with pain and anguish or
Mhm.
mental health
Mhm.
problems.
Mhm.
Talk to someone, talk to a
Right.
loved one,
Right.
reach out to somebody. That's the strongest
Support.
support that you can ever
Support, and
do.
don't be a
Not deal with it by yourself.
right. And then Deborah Lee said the struggle. Yes, the struggle is real. It is. It's not in your mind. And
Yes.
I think just being honest. And and sometimes it's the shame of, "Well, if I tell them, they're gonna think I'm crazy." No, you're telling people because you want to live.
That's right.
I mean, dealing with that by yourself, that's got to be tormenting. It's got to be painful to deal with that by yourself. And my heart bled for that young lady that felt like that was the only way out, is to kill herself. She had everything. She had it all. What
Mm.
was the young lady that
Everything
jumped?
going for her.
She
She
had
had everything
everything
going for her.
beautiful. She had
Yes.
I mean, she had fame. She had everything.
Yes.
And just to open up the paper and see her face, and she lost the battle to it. It's really sad.
Very disappointed.
Yes, it
I
is.
was. I was very disappointed.
Extremely
So reach
sad.
out to someone.
Yes,
Let
always.
someone know.
Especially during
Don't let
these
it.
trying times.
Right. You be the winner. Don't let the mental health be the winner. You can defeat this.
Mm-hmm.
Simply by reaching out. Everybody has somebody that's close to them that they can
And they also have
confide.
a lot of support groups.
Yeah.
People are very quick in supporting you when they know that you're struggling. They really are. They really
Absolutely.
are. So when we look at this, can I get the next slide? Anxiety throughout the pandemic. Which one is that? Can you please bring that back up, Khalif? Okay. The U.S. Census Bureau offers insights onto the pandemic effects through their household. So they took a survey.
Mm.
And you know what? I appreciate that, because that means that they are very concerned about what's happening in, how people are handling the pandemic, that they actually took a can you bring that back up? In the late April 2020, because the pandemic started, I want to say in March, when they had can you keep it on that, please? Where they had us just, we had to leave work, we had to go and buy all this stuff. Everybody was buying all the paper roll tissue and everything, like that's what they were gonna eat. Could find that nowhere. I'm like, okay, can we talk about why I can't get no tissue or no paper? What's going on here? I just didn't understand that. It says in April 2020, the survey offers over 1.5 million observations of respondents. So how they were dealing with the physical, mentally, and economic well-being. They wanted to know how it affects each group. So when you look at this, I'm sorry guys, I'm just shuffling through papers. I want to make sure I got this right. So you're looking at two groups. You're looking at the increase in anxiety and depression during the pandemic. Okay, so how many people in 2019, 6.1%, during the pandemic, at 6.1% was really dealing with just overall before the pandemic, they were dealing with anxiety. By April of 25 through May, it had rose to 30.8% of society in that group
Wow.
had was dealing with like that increase, the increase of like we talked about before, the increase of depression and anxiety, 30.8% and 23.5% of the population respectively. Between April 2023 and early March 2021, the rate of moderate to severe anxiety averaged 33.1%, while that for moderate to severe depression averaged 26.5%. Now, the rate jumped over 20 to 30% intermittently. Like it just, so it's not going, you can bring it back. So it's not going down.
Wow.
I mean, it's going down now, but at that time it jumped.
It showed an upward trend.
Yes. So it's like, where are we going with these numbers? Where are we going? When we must address this. We have to address it, or else it's going to get worse. Now go to the next slide and say anxiety throughout the pandemic by race. Okay, so how is it affected? Did you go to the next slide, please? How did it affect us by race? How much of the previous racial and age patterns and self-report anxiety and depressions are influenced by educational attainment, income, marital status, and other factors? When you look at the factors of how the mental health disparities during the pandemic, it does not disappear. Like if you have African Americans that are struggling already and they're dealing with anxiety and depression because economically there's a disproportionate number of African Americans that are not given the opportunity to really work a job in a pay range that they can really live off.
Okay.
So they're already depressed. So you can imagine how that number really excelled during the pandemic. So now from I'm already not making money to now I'm making nothing, or I'm making very little, and I'm not sure what my next meal, or can I pay my mortgage, or can I even take care of my children? So of course the rise in that is going to triple.
Well, they were also the one of the ones that were suffering, people of color, because they were at the time essential workers, and while they couldn't really get a handle on this virus, essential workers were catching this virus and getting sick
because they were making them go to work.
Right. So they were having to deal with the depression, the mental anguish, sickness in that aspect of the game as well.
Yeah. So when you think about even the age 18 to 25, that of course their anxiety increased, because I remember our 18-year-old, you can bring it back to us. I think AJ, which we can be transparent, he struggled with that because I'm graduating during a time of a pandemic. So all the opportunities that I had, can you bring it back to us, please, Khalif? The opportunities that I had is no more. I don't know. I'm uncertain now. So I'm not really don't know if I'm going to get the scholarships, the football scholarship, because I wasn't able to play football so that means I don't have any film. So now I'm not just transitioning from high school, college, playing football. Right. Now I'm trying to find my place. Where am I going here?
Right.
And you can see the aftermath of that, how it's a delay in where he's supposed to be because of the pandemic at the beginning. It just happened to happen during the time that he was in school.
Absolutely. Because he had to set out, because we were right there in the middle of the pandemic, and there were actually parents burying their high school athletes, and we've had to go ahead and say, hey, no, we're going to be safe with this.
Right.
And at the time, we were the only ones able to get the shot. The shot wasn't readily available for him.
No, I think that was after school for him. I don't know if that happened during that time, but I just remember a lot. And this is what the pandemic you can't tell me going into the pandemic and come in the pandemic that you're the same person going in. You're not. Because people show you who they were. It was like people was like going crazy. I don't know. They just seemed unreasonable. Their behavior was unreasonable. They weren't trying to understand other people. It was really about themselves. And I seen a lot of that with my son's experience. I'm like, so if you're not experiencing your community dealing with the level of death from COVID, because now we're talking about the systemic racism in healthcare, which means a lot of African Americans that were getting it were not receiving the same care as white Americans. Okay.
Yes.
So you don't understand that 1 out of 5 of my people are dying because you just recovering. It's like a cold for me. Like it's just like the simple flu. So you're not understanding why we're being cautious. Like, wait a minute, we're experiencing death in our community and our families. I don't want to chance my son getting it and giving it to my mom that isn't vaccinated. And it was just no consideration. It was no empathy. Right. It was like, you're overreacting, and I'm like, when do we lose empathy for someone else? Even if you haven't experienced that, you don't have empathy for the fact that we're losing people, because to you, it's just a common cold. But to other communities, it was a death sentence if you got it back then.
Right. But the realization was also is that they were not giving a clear number of who was getting it and what was happening, because it turned out the virus did not have any respect of person.
Right.
So there were a lot of people. There were people that were literally getting on social media and really putting it down just to turn around maybe a month later dying from it and telling everybody, hey, this was a mistake. Please get your shot.
But people, it's almost like every Saturday we got to talk about the behavior of folks. So they're not really wearing their mask. I guess they lift the mask mandate here. And I didn't care. Of course, I was probably only 3 people in Walmart the other day with a mask on. Everybody was looking at me and I was looking at them. And then I come.
Oh, that what you mean? You didn't
care. I don't really care about that. I was like, hey, you can't see me because I'm not gonna get this stuff that y'all think that it's gone.
False face, huh?
And so we just found out that another variant that's more contagious than the last one is out. But people's like, I'm over it. Whatever. I'll just get it. They said they'll just get it and they just move on. Okay. I'm like, well, I'm not. But it says individuals under 35 of age experience moderate to severe anxiety that are close to 25% points higher than older individuals. Consequences of the poor mental health includes lack of productivity in school and in the workplace, both today and, more importantly, the future. Young adults disadvantaged by poor mental health will play a losing game of catch up with their healthier peers over their lifetime. The COVID-induced mental health crisis of today's is begetting stalled economic growth and inequalities in the future. This is what we were talking about. Yes, you're healthy. It was a common cold for you, but your counterpart that's African American or brown people are literally dying, which is going to affect anybody's psyche. If a young person that's in school lost their parents to COVID, they're not going to be the same people. So not only are they devastated by the loss, they're delayed mentally while you soar because you didn't experience their trauma. So it's going to not be a good outcome for the person that has gone through that trauma, because now they have to catch up to the one that never experienced the trauma. I'm great. We had a great holiday, and while other person is, well, I'm not. I just buried my mom. I just buried my dad, and half of my family is gone. But I'm supposed to be as productive as you that has never experienced. It's tragic. It's tragic. It really it saddens me when I see that.
Absolutely. And Deborah Lee says survival mode is what the body does in a crisis.
Okay. So,
Yes.
okay. And that's true. Let's see. Why do we having stumping going on? Yes. All right. So we're just moving on. No slide, babe. We have our young one. He's running the show. So give a shout out to Khalif. Hey, Khalif. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we are moving on. Let's go to the next slide. All right. So we are almost done here. Okay, so this is the percentage of people experiencing anxiety by age. Oh, Lord. So what do you think with that? When you look at that, when you look at the age 55 to 65, 30% of people, if you can keep that slide up, please. 30% of people 55 to 64 experience anxiety and no experience anxiety. Can you put the slide back up? 30%.
30%. Well, that's not hard to come by. When someone cuts me off, I experience anxiety.
Oh Lord.
You know,
I'm talking
so
about based on the pandemic, Al.
Well, it's. I think not just the older people. I think everybody experiences it to a certain effect. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, but they're saying that the percentage of people experiencing anxiety by age, and they're just saying how it is its effect. Like when you look at the ages 18 to 24, 44% of that group has experienced or will experience or is experiencing the anxiety during the pandemic. And it just amazed me. The younger population are really dealing with that anxiety, because it is an uncertain.
And I'll tell you why. And
Go
I tell
ahead.
you why, because they are the ones that do more activity outside the home.
Right.
Older people settle in, you
Right.
can find a lot of things to do on the inside, watch a program or
I love being at the house.
Relax.
Yes.
Our home is a place that
Home is where the
helps
heart
us
is.
Recoup. When a lot of younger people find that time to when recouping takes place is going out to unwind, to seek some sort of activity.
So that is their time that they really enjoy socializing. Right. They're very social, and I noticed that they're the ones that's really affected by it. So
you hit it right on the head. They're more social.
They really are. 25 to 34, they were right up under it. 42% experience anxiety during that time. That's pretty. That's really a high number.
So the
percentage.
So the chart is pretty. It's pretty on. As far as showing the difference.
Right.
Right.
So the younger you are, the more you felt that anxiety. And I also want to add that because they're at their prime time or they're trying to find themselves, and the world is changing and things are happening where they're not in control. That gotta be you're filled with anxiety. Like we noticed the intense anxiety in Alfred. I'm like, what is the Lord? What didn't happen to this child? This child turned 18 and he's like crazy guy completely. But it's not really that. It's just that, Mom, it's not, my life is not the way I thought it would be. The pandemic delayed all of my dreams, all of my goals. Right. And it's like, I'm behind. And the truth is, it is a delay because the pandemic shut a lot of things down. And so they're even in school, the kids are behind. Because you give them that whole year, the rest of the year in March, kids stop going to school. That's a lot of months where we're trying to figure out how to do this technology. How do you teach kids so kids didn't learn that year? There was no learning. So that means they're delayed because they did not have a full year of learning. So it's catching up. It's sad. Let's go to the next slide because did we spend too much time on this?
No, we're where we need to be.
Okay, I was hoping, guys. What do you all think? What are they saying? Well, okay, I can't believe he's running the show in the back. Yes, Debbie, Khalif is running the show. Khalif, can you show people who you are? Khalif, 12 years old, is running. Honey, the Bible said, train them up.
There you go.
Train them up. They're my baby. Oh, wait a minute. That's a nice set there, Khalif. Can we see you? Khalif, like, Mom, I barely know how to run the show. Please don't make me do it. Okay, we'll leave you alone. We'll leave it alone. Okay, so the next thing is, and this is our last real talk.
Okay, what's that?
Lord, what the y'all? If you watched the show last week, oh my goodness. Okay, last week, now I done told y'all Russia didn't snap, went on up in Ukraine and gonna pop off. Not really winning the battle because they didn't realize that they got a little help, but they ain't giving up. Can we get the slide, Khalid, please? The Ukraine. Okay, it says the update on the war, Russia invasion of Ukraine. What is going on? Next slide, please. So let's see here. Now the update is now this is really sad. 1.5 million children that has fled Ukraine face risk of trafficking and exploitation. That really broke my heart. So if they get away, then they have to worry about being picked up and used and tracked. Yes. So it's like the kids aren't really, I don't know. Is it worse to stay there to risk dying or be placed in trafficking and being exploited? It's just sad. Children shouldn't have to deal with that. They shouldn't have to experience that. Russia's military said Saturday it had used now, Al, I think you mentioned that Russia said that they used some type of ammunition, a hypersonic, or what do they call that?
Hypersonic missile.
Yes.
It's a more powerful missile because they maybe could not pinpoint put it right on the target, so it had to be a hypersonic missile that is a lot more effective than just regular munition.
Well, they said that they used it to destroy ammunition. Ukraine's ammunition depot. What is that? Depot. Is that where they have all the ammunition? Okay. Right. So I was like, okay, they didn't use it on nobody, but they did let them know we got something powerful, and we're gonna mess y'all up. I hear that at that particular base, at least 30 people died with the strike of the missile, though. So that's unfortunate. Right. Now, President Joe Biden spoke with the China. Okay, see, I like to get my little spin on it. I'll let President T. President Biden called the president of China. Was like, listen here, man. Let me tell you something. Okay, I'm gonna need for you not to even help Russia because I know Russia is trying to get you guys to come on board. If you get in this war, it's gonna be some problems. I like you, China, because y'all sell those little clothes for people and they be ordering it. We let y'all sell that. You know that the American people can't wear those little doll clothes that you sell to these people, and it take a whole month to send it just to find out you can't wear it because it's like for babies. Anyhow, spend that thing. I'm gonna need for you to stand down. All right. Don't be up in nobody else's business. And handle yours. Because you don't want no problem. Because this ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. You don't want these hands. Well, actually, that's what I believe Biden told. Actually, the only thing the United States can really do is impose sanctions against them that can hurt them economically. Right. And they're just coming out of a struggling economy just like America and just like Russia. So they can't really afford to go through any more sanctions, but they're, trying to, keep their chest out and keep a commitment as to saying that they said that they would help the Russian president. Right. And they say U.S. officials have repeatedly expressed to concerns that China could come to the aid of Russia, which is increasingly isolated from global markets and harsh sanctions from the West. China, I'm gonna need y'all.
Yeah.
Please don't do it, because I don't want no problems. I do like those little some stuff that y'all saying to be cute though. Like when you lose weight real good, you may be able to squeeze an arm.
All joking aside,
I'm
Russia,
sorry, I have to throw that in. They so cheap
right?
stuff.
Russia is really hurting
Little
right
stuff.
now.
I mean,
Russia's really
they
hurting.
really are. So
First of all, they got people out on the field that can't even fight. They're snatching teenagers off the street, and they don't even realize where they're going until they finally find themselves on the battlefield. There has been at least 10. Russia has lost at least 10,000 soldiers so far. These are people. This is a country where you're not really allowed to have a weapon, just like in China. It's not like the United States. Everybody and anybody own a weapon. It's a lot of these people haven't even fired a weapon
ever.
And when you see the 40-mile convoy, they're probably trying to teach the people how to fire a weapon, before they get out on the field. So I'm not surprised.
How many children died? Remember you saying that they
well, the teenagers, these are people,
okay.
These are people as young as 15, 16, teenagers being sent to war. Teenagers,
That's horrible.
so they have at least 10,000 or more that are packed away in railroad trains. And it's it's a difficult thing. And I misspoke last week. I said that Vladimir Putin was an SS soldier. I misspoke. He was a KGB. He was a commander over the KGB before he became president.
Okay.
So I'm correcting what I said last week.
Well, thank you for that correction. Now, since they did destroy Ukraine's some of their ammunition, the U.S. Ukraine will receive a new shipment of U.S. weapons within days, including javelins. That's their
javelins,
stuff. Stingers, missiles,
switchblade drones. That munition isn't even the top of the iceberg as far as the military support that the Ukraine is getting. They're getting support from Germany. They're getting support from the Baltic nations. It's coming in from all over the United States. That one small depot isn't really enough to stop. Like I said, they're fighting off an army that is supposed to be bigger than them and better than them. So Vladimir is very upset. This wasn't supposed to go 3 weeks. It was supposed to be over in a week, and now so he's just committed himself to just lodging bombs into the cities to try to soften them up, because the Ukrainians are repelling them really, really good. I mean, they're strong. They're strong people. Fighting the Russians. They're doing a very amazing job.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Very amazing job.
It's a Ukraine National Security and Defense Council Secretary Damavov said in a televised interview on Saturday, the weapons will be on the territory of our country in the nearest future. They said they're gonna always have that.
Oh yes.
So you come for us, make sure that you're ready for a fight, because we're not going.
Yeah, Russia's actually trying to find a good way to get out, but Vladimir, he's got his pride, and his pride is really going to leave him in a pretty bad position once all of this is said.
He needs to pull out. It doesn't look like they're winning this.
All right.
Okay, so that's our update on the war between Russia and Ukraine. Looks like it's going to be going on for a little bit longer than we anticipated. I haven't gotten any gas this week. Have you gotten any? Because I don't know if it went up or went down. How much is it? Same price?
Well, I didn't look. I just stopped at 35.
I'm gonna need this man to stop saying I just got $30 worth.
And
That
still
may
didn't
be
fill the
not.
car
Thank
up.
you. That's what I'm like. How much is the gas? Anybody know how much the gas is a gallon? Because I did not. I'm like,
I pick a dollar sign that I say I'm going to stop at. You know, I'm pretty sure
oh
a
my
lot of
God!
you
But you
guys out
still
there
want
do
to
the
know
same
how
thing.
much it is a gallon, so you can say, "Oh my God, $5 a gallon," so you can really have that part of
No,
that.
because if I look at the price, I'm going to be really, really upset.
Yes,
so
but
I just pick what I've been putting into the vehicle,
right,
and I don't look at the needle.
I look at
glance
everything.
at it 2 days from then, see where I'm at, because I don't want to be upset at, with the high gas prices.
Right. Okay. So So I hope hope you guys really enjoy our real talk. Like I said earlier, part of this the show, real talk is just talking about whatever interests us. Hot topics is what's going on every day in the news. So that's the difference. Okay, so next slide, guys. Remember, I talk about it. Probably, I'm going to start talking about it more and more, so you will know about you'll know about One Stage at a Time therapy services. We offer services to children that requires early interventions in physical, intellectual, learning, language, behavior, social, and emotional development. We use evidence-based practices to support parents by providing services and resources that can improve their child's performance and assist children in reaching each developmental milestone. It's one stage at a time. That is a company that I am the CEO, which is the owner of. You can come back to me, which is the owner of it, which is my baby.
Tell it.
Right now, we are receiving new clients. We are telehealth. We're not person yet. We're still doing the Zoom services. But if you know any young person before that's not school age right now that you are may be concerned about, they're not talking now, or you may think that your child has autism, or there's some behavior concerns that you may just need some information on.
Yes.
Whatever, anything in that developmental stage, I am One Stage at a Time is the place to reach out to. Yes. You can go to the website, look at the page, check the page out. If you need more information, we provide free consultations. So if you know anyone, please share the information. I always have it on the RTB platform, and you can always email, you can call. We're here to service you.
Making a difference.
I've been doing this for 20 years. Absolutely. I have masters in exceptional education and educational leadership, exceptional education, and EDS in educational leadership. So I know children. I knew children before I went to school. I had children. I've always worked with children. So I love children. I love to see them succeed. Though, if you know anyone that may need some services, have them reach out to One Stage at a Time. www.onestage2021.com. Click on that link, and it'll show you all the services that we provide. So
wonderful.
All right.
That's a long time to be into it. You do a very good job.
Thank you. Great
job.
I think the show was awesome.
Yes.
There was a little technical problem here and there. There were some little delays, but we made it to the end.
And it threw me off with my harmonica.
But that's okay. Your harmonica was awesome. So we guys, remember, share our page. Share our page. Tell people we are here. Even if you missed a show at the time that we're live, you can always go back and look at shows that we've already done. Okay, so we're going to do our closing, our special thanks.
Right. Special thanks to all our viewers, followers, and supporters of Restoring the Brokenness Group. Special thanks to our technician, the little one today, Khalif Nanye Allen. We appreciate you up there, young man. Please remember to like and share our page. Please follow us on Restoring the Brokenness at RT Brokenness on Instagram.
Yes.
And on YouTube.
Twitter. Mm-hmm. On Twitter, it's at RT Brokenness. And we're also on YouTube, and we're live on YouTube right now. So please go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Subscribe.
Yes.
Okay. Also, you can email us at restoringthebrokenness@gmail.com. And remember, be whole,
Be
be
healed
healed, and be at peace. All right.